Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Factory. I'm Eddie C, and together with my co-host Peter D, we're going to bring you in touch with people in and around the music business. This is the podcast that takes you up close and personal. All right, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to the Rhythm Factory. My name is Eddie C, and to my far right, my co-host Peter D. Our guest for today is a very talented guitarist, and his name is Bernhard Reinke.
That's right. You did that very good.
Bernhard is one of the legends in the guitar world, especially in say Holland and the Benelux area as a guitarist. And well, he's going to tell a little bit about himself first.
Yeah. Well, I reached the fantastic age now of 62, and so that means that I'm playing guitar for 50 years.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's great. Yeah, because I started when I was 12. Yeah, and then starting about guitar, I remember the first pieces I've heard from Jimi Hendrix, which really struck me, really blew my mind. So yeah, 12-year-old. So I was sitting in my boy's room, and then had that little amplifier. I think it was 10 watts or something. But I had the first tube amplifier I could lay my hands on, and I'm starting playing the blues, and to express my feelings of Weltschmerz. I don't know if you know that name, that word. So everything I felt as a little guy, I tried to express with the guitar.
Oh, fantastic.
So really great. Yeah, well, and that continued later on. I played with a few pop groups. I had the chance, fantastic opportunity to follow up Elko Gelling, which was at that time, we could say the Eric Clapton of Holland.
Okay.
So I was a real big fan of that man. He played, you still see it on YouTube, he really plays cool. And at some point I was already playing with Herman Brood. We all know in Holland.
You say Herman Brood.
Herman Brood, Brood, that's the word. Well, I went to Groningen. I was born in Utrecht. Went to Groningen at some point, and I was very, brutal, what's the...
Brutal.
Brutal, yeah. So I didn't have any fear at all. I just grabbed my guitar, went into any place where a band was playing, and said, all right, can I join in? So, and I did. So very quickly I played with the better guys in Groningen, and one of them was Herman Brood, who had that Cubing in the Blizzards, was a bit of the end of their lifetime, so to say,
right.
And he had really the ambition to start on his own, and then he asked a few the bass player, what's his name, Laurens Loutjeleeuw, bass player from QB, to join him. Actually it was not much more than improvisation.
Sure.
Played some shit, and he also asked me. Yeah, that's something I also remember. The first gig I did with Herman Brood. I mean, think about all what we have today, sharing on YouTube, all the electronic possibilities. There was nothing. I mean, the only thing you could do was record on a little cassette recorder or something. But Herman didn't even do that. So he asked me. He came on the bike to my room, and he said, "All right, you want to play? Yeah, why not?" So that's that. Tomorrow, whatever, in the paper straat. And then and I said, "Yeah, what are you gonna play?" "Well, we'll just see what happens." So I started feeling a little right. But I have not too bad ears. So we went up there. That was in the paper straat. And now if there's a lot of, I don't know exactly the place, but het Pakhuis, the name was. So we went there, and Herman was of course already starting to feel himself comfortable for the rehearsal, which in his case meant a few things. So, but then I said a little bit, "Okay, what are you gonna play?" I said, "No, we're gonna play," and then he took, where you put your drink on, hoe heet dat? Die,
Coasters?
Coasters. So, and then he started writing A, D, E. Can you understand? So that was supposed to be a piece.
Okay.
So right, I guitar and tuned, and at first I had a few. Then he said, whatever, pop it in, pop it out, and then I took that. But I mean, imagine how that works in a cafe with. I mean, it was too dark to. So
to see
after
that
a few,
notes,
I thought, all right. So that first thing, was only by ear. So he played, but of course that is not very complex harmony.
Okay.
But still, so yeah. And then to make it short, to end it up, at some point that Elko Gelling guy was asked by the Golden Earring, who had a big hit. I think it was Radar Love in the States.
Yeah.
So they were huge there. I've heard from Kooijmans that Santana were there. What is it? Voorprogramma, pre-program?
That was supporting act.
Yeah, supporting act. Santana was supporting act. So fantastic. So Kooijmans, the guys, asked Gelling, and then strangely, the same day, Herman came to me to ask me to join his real band. He found, I was there when he found the name Wild Romance. It was a great moment. And I had a phone call from the management of QB if I wanted to replace Elko. And I chose for that.
Okay.
Because of I already had seen so much dangerous attributes and I mean, all the drugs.
Okay.
I really had the idea that I questioned for me. That was one of the main things to not go with Herman, because I really thought, am I strong enough to withstand all that?
The temptations of the drugs and everything. I know that you've been a band leader for years with your own projects, and what is your personal view about being a band leader, and how does it influence your own compositions that you do yourself?
Well, the first thing you do when you start as a musician is looking for possibilities. So how can I play the blues? How can I play a whatever piece? How can I improvise some special stuff? But later on, I found out after a while, you know all those possibilities. So I mean, in a given situation, I can come up with 500 possibilities. So the thing is, at some point, it's not about how many possibilities can you come up with, but it is about what do you choose. It's about choosing. So if you, I tried it at some point, a real democratic band. So you sit there with 5 people, and you imagine.
I know.
So I said, all right, I have this chord and that chord, and maybe the bass player said, you could also do that chord, and of course he's right, because you can do anything. I mean, that is the thing. So my answer is, a band leader is the guy who decides, is the guy who gives the color to stuff. And of course you can like that or not like it, but I mean that's the role of the band leader. And he should choose people that feel comfortable with that. And if they don't, then go to another band.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it sounds a little bit rough, but I think,
I can completely agree with you on that. I mean, I've been in that role before as well.
Yeah.
You have to take leadership. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Peter had a question for you.
Well, I know quite a lot about you because you work with my mentor and good friend Freddy van Vloten.
If I'm sitting here, coming also this way up, then Fred was a lot of times on my mind. Yeah.
Nice to hear.
In my life, he was a really important person also.
Most of the music that I know from you is from Transfusion and from the days with him, and it's mostly instrumental.
Yeah, mostly all of it is instrumental.
All of it,
right? At least, I mean, well, maybe sometimes I sang a little bit, but it was not recorded, so no.
But I'm interested because on your website there's a new project with vocals involved, and you say that vocals give a dimension to music that other instruments can't do. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, I grew up I'm from 52, so I grew up in the 60s. And at that, I mean, there always was instrumental music, of course. If you also, I think also, I'm not really sure, but I think you can find a moment in the Elvis Presley band that Elvis was sick or had too much, and then they they started some. So I mean, there was always instrumental music, but from the start, I really was and still am really a lover of vocals. I mean, one of the things I always did was singing along, and I always tried to sing that third unbelievable strange. I mean, George Harrison sings very nice third lines, guys like Crosby, Stills, Nash, the Eagles, all that. I mean, I love backing vocals, and I love triple or four lines together, so I always had that. Yeah, and I developed as a guitar player after that long intro of mine about the very past. I mean, there was some point with Phony and the Hardcore, that was the band after RMSK, that Eric, the singer, we were quite popular at some moment, really played for thousands of people and more. That was very nice. And at some point I played a different solo than on the record. Can you imagine? Yeah. Because I'm a lover of pop music, I'm a lover of vocals, but I'm also a lover of instrumental music. I like solos and that kind of stuff. At some point Eric said, hey man, you should play the solo of the record, because otherwise people can't recognize it. And there are so many examples of very famous pieces in which the solo is a big part of the composition.
Yeah.
So as an instrumentalist, I felt without vocals that I played the role of the vocalist. So that's also was in our liner notes and in our promotional material. So the guitar, which was I, played a vocal role. So I think even with Transfusion we had that in our. So what we wanted the people to see the band. So yeah, but after I discovered a few minutes ago how long I did that instrumental stuff, and that is more than 30 years. I was band leader in instrumental music, starting with Transfusion, but a lot of bands. I had a band with a lot of famous people right now, so that worked good. And I mean, my search for that one note on C major 7 stress 5 plus 11 that nobody played, I did it for many years, and I think I could find a lot of those strange notes. But well, I said it with a joke, of course. But at some point, I was a little bit done with that. I mean, I still improvise a lot. I'm a guitar player. That's the main thing I still do. But of course, but I'm really back to what I always loved. That is vocal music. I like vocal music. So.
But that's probably always been a line in compositions, even instrumental. You think about vocal lines. Or
absolutely.
Vocal role.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I also teach composition, and what I see a lot, with students, you come in a room and they ask me, you want to join in and help us, cool, and then they sit playing a chord schedule.
Right.
And I said, hey, can I play another? And I said, all right, but the chord schedule is not a song. The melody is the song. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and I read a lot of interviews and still try to lay my hands on anything Paul McCartney says about that, because he's fantastic. He says, most of the time, I start with the melody, then I play some simple chords, then I try to extend the melody, and then if that works, then I try to extend the harmony a bit to make it more clever or whatever. And in his case, then he even says, and then record everything, playing a basic bass line, and after everything is finished, he just by ear plays a totally different bass line. So Even kijken, now I've lost the main subject.
But that's okay.
Well,
That's what's nice about this show. You know,
Yeah.
we always want to get up close and personal. That's what it's all about.
You get
We're talking about your the whole vocal thing,
Yeah.
and what I'm curious about, because me being also a vocalist as well as a percussionist and componist and componist, I find it's always what do you look for when you're working with a singer? Are you looking for a particular voice coloring? Because of course with a guitar you can add a lot of sound, and the voice of course has a person can kind of tune their voice by using it a certain way to get an effect out of it. But are you in particularly looking for, like, let's say when you're doing your vocals per se, a male vocalist, female vocalist, I mean, how do you go about that for your compositions, let's say?
Well, yeah, that's a really important question, and that's something that is not finished also. So I have at this moment, I think, 12 completely finished songs with lead vocals, 3 or 4 voices, backings, and everything clear. And I recorded now with one German vocalist 2 songs. I actually am in the search for the right person at the right place.
Okay.
So I have 2 people in mind in which I'm going to work, with which I'm going to work the next few months. Yeah, what I'm looking for in a singer is that, and that's not so easy, that the singer should have, I have a quite broad background, so starting with pop music, with playing blues, rock music, and I know that rock music is a feeling. It's nothing, you can't learn it. I mean, you gotta rock, man. That is some groovy thing. But the same is for jazz.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and jazz, the real, the rhythmical thing in jazz is really different than in rock or funk or whatever. So, and in my new compositions, which are partly even a few from the days of Fred with Transfusion, but also a lot of new pieces. Some of them are old pieces, in which I added, changed the melody a bit. Well, that's not really true. I choose pieces that have a so vocalized melody.
Okay.
Can you say that like that?
Yeah.
So that it was, I choose them because they have a melody that you can sing. And not any melody is easy to sing. So, and then I added lyrics, I added vocal lines. So for me, that combination of the pop feel and jazz, as rhythmically as well as harmonically, that's what I'm looking for in a singer. And I don't care if it's a man or a girl, but it's not so easy to find, because I think my standards are quite high in that. So that's what I'm looking for, and I'm looking also for someone who has enough experienced in life to, because I'm not the youngest person you can imagine, so I've been through a lot in life, and I feel happy that I have all that. But in my lyrics, I have put it. So
they have to read the songs that you've written. That's what it's about.
The songs are quite personal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
A personal, it's not general talk about I love you, whatever. So it's really about stuff.
Yeah.
So the personal.
Although there can be a lot, in depth.
Yeah, fantastic.
Depending how you sing it, how a song.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
so
Well, and that 2 pieces, the one I put now on just for fun. I didn't do any promotion, whatever. Just put it on YouTube, and a few hundred people listen to it. That's Amanda Kaps. I think she's fantastic. She's really great voice. She sings stuff completely in tune. You don't need any melodyne, and she also has the feeling but yeah, the process to come to a point that yeah, you both really want to go for it, because I have some ambitions in this project. I think much further than the instrumental stuff. I think until now that did not really happen. But
okay, so there's a big, if I understand you right, you have quite just a very strong philosophical thing behind what you want to do with this next project.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I also think that if you take a look at the development nowadays with all the electronic stuff we have. I mean, I just got from Sander van Herk, the guitar player from Het Goede Doel, you all know the guy maybe, almost 2 terabyte banks. So, I mean, fantastic, rhythmically great, so you put a bank and you hit it with a fantastic bass line, and you go to another bank and you do so I mean, what we hear from the DJs, my sister can make that too. I mean, if you put the right, I mean, you can almost do, you can't do something wrong. I mean, of course you can combine A minor and B flat minor, but I mean, so what I can offer, that is something with a background. I mean, I can really make music, I can really compose music, original music. So I mean, that's my strength.
Keeping the human element in it.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. So that's my strength. So I'm not really sure if it will work, but I believe in it, and the new pieces I'm writing are getting even better and better. So I am very positive about it. So let's see, and let's hope that I find that vocalist. I mean, because that is what we all know. You should have the right person at the right moment in the right place. I mean, there are a lot of a person like Adele. I mean, I'm not so a very personal lover of Adele, but I mean that she is completely her own. She is what she does do. I think that's fantastic. I mean, so I'm looking for something like that.
Okay. You want to?
Well, I hear you say electronics in music nowadays, and I want to know a little bit more about that, because I remember that with Transfusion or with the roller coasters, maybe both, I don't know, but you use sequencers.
That was Transfusion, yeah.
And those are, in the music, it was part of the composition.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do you feel about the electronics used nowadays?
Yeah, well, it is. I thought about it, of course, going up here. I mean, Charlie Parker with a sequencer. I mean, why? I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, John Coltrane with a sequencer. I know that. I know I come up with this example because there are a lot of people who say, "No, that's crazy, idiot." I mean, but I grew up in the '60s, and in the '60s we had Pink Floyd. And they used sequences already. We had that was quite improvised. What's the name? Pink Floyd and you know it.
Beach Boys.
No. The English. Shit.
Oh, sorry.
I don't get the name. No, whatever. Well,
Soft Machine.
Soft Machine. Yes, exactly. They also used that kind of stuff. I saw them live a few times. Also Pink Floyd in those days. Well, the thing is. I am a real big fan of Michael Jackson. I think it's fantastic, so beautiful. I mean, about melodies, but Thriller, I mean, that's a groove. I mean, that is a sequence groove. Of course, it's one of the top drummers in the States. Who, I mean, maybe they let him play for 2 hours until he had that 2 bars. But I mean, those 2 bars looped, I mean, I can't stop dancing if I hear that. It's so fantastic, and that's a loop. That's a sequencer. So why not? I mean, sequencing, computing, has, of course, something unhuman, but also, in my feeling, if it's good, something hypnotic. There is, I don't know, some you come into, and of course, I mean, this morning I always also went to the sports school, and then you hear what nowadays happens, and that's what I mentioned. Sorry, 5 minutes before. I mean, you go to a library, you put on a knob and whatever, and you put some sound effects, and in 10 minutes, I mean, I think that I can make in 1 hour a piece like those DJs make. Maybe that's going then a little bit far into the mechanical stuff. So, I think it's a real benefit that we have it. I think it's great that we have it. But the difference between people who really are able to make music in their head, so to speak, because that's what a good musician should do. You have music in your head, a solo or a melody, and it comes out, and that's music. That's something else than putting on a knob and.
So you shouldn't rely on the electronics, but the electronics should be more of a
extended.
As a tool, as a
to serve
fantastic
the song
tool.
or the piece.
Absolutely.
And I think because now I have quite a good home studio. You all know that. I mean, what I now have at home is the same that an A studio had 15 years ago, and then you had to buy it for 1,000 gulden a day. So now I have that at home. All the editing, it's amazing. All the automation, it's fantastic. So I'm working a lot with that. I'm not really sure what happens if that project partly would be really successful in the thing that you have money. That maybe I would then invite more live people to do. But for now, I'm really satisfied. So all the guitars I play myself, of course, and those are live played. So if I'm talking about what do I use now myself, bass parts and keyboards I play with guitar synthesizers, so they are really played by me, and then you can edit stuff, but I never put on that
loop.
No. I mean, I always try to, and I'm really about timing and about feel. So even bass parts or keys parts that are recorded with synthesizer sounds, I really shift stuff and put it just a mini fraction earlier or later, because
you want to get a human
that fits. That fits. So that's actually good that you say that, because so I use a lot of electronics in that new project, but I use it really human.
But don't you kind of miss? I know I have that. I mean, I work in the studio I've been in the studio for 40 years, and worked as a session musician, and I saw the sessions go from almost 365 a year to maybe 2 a year. And I know that a lot of folks work at home sending parts to each other. But don't you also kind of miss just going to the studio with a bunch of guys and say, hey, let's take the first 2 or 3 takes, and we take the best one out of that?
Well, I so feel what you mean, because with Transfusion, that band with Fred and Aftermath Oyens, everything was, I mean, there was nothing like dubbing. My last CD, The Waiting for the Bora, who had a lot of great reviews and stuff, that was totally recorded live. And I can even say that at one point we recorded 5 pieces in one day, which had 4 first takes. I mean, I'm still proud of, but I mean, first take. So what I've learned as experienced person is, that's also with something with Fred van Vloten. The first time, I never forget, it's a great story, a little thing. So the first time I went into a studio with that trio, I had recorded, of course, more stuff before, but that was my first time as a band leader. So you really want to. Well, I studied for weeks, and I was in total fantastic form. So you can imagine, you were the drummer, you were the bass player, the guitar. So we sat there, and I was anxious to really go for it. And Fred was also a very fanatic guy. So I said, okay, are we good? Yeah, cool. Now, so I said, all right, 1, 2, whatever, and we started playing. and I really put it all in it, and it was fantastic. So after that, Fred did, okay, all right, yeah, well, I just got a little loose now. Okay, well, I first have to change something on the snare. I said, what? I played the solo of my life in this piece. I can never do that 2 times. So I can imagine. So that's a fantastic idea. So after that, I learned, that's it. Is about focus. I mean, if you know what you want to do, if you are able to do it, or say that if you have the self-confidence that you can do it, then wait for the moment and do it. But I mean, and doing it twice, maybe not.
Yeah.
So that's what happened then. So later on, then I knew I should really take the time for anything. Oh, the drummer comfortable. Okay, the bass may be a little different. And is now everybody ready? Now then. So we played that CD. Yeah, we played everything live. Yeah. Yeah. Do I miss that? I don't know. It's a different approach because it's also a different kind of music, so to say. Because that last CD was maybe my most improvised one. So other pieces are written, melodies, harmony, form is also clear. So it's not completely free music at all, but the way we fill it in, the way we form it, was quite free. Yeah, of course we had some gigs, of course we had rehearsals, but you know what I mean. So maybe I should simply say it from my background as starting as a pop musician. That was my most open, improvised jazz kind of thing. But alright, if I listen to it, then that's what I hear. What I hear is spontaneous music. That's great, but there are a lot of points that I said, the bass player, I would have, and the drums, or the guitar, which also. So now I'm sitting at home, really making it totally like I have it in my mind. So I can imagine what I said. If at some point, it is more or less successful enough to go on stage, and that of course there's another stage too. Yeah, there's some different thing that I then ask you or people who really play fantastic. I say, all right, well, do your thing. I mean, so I understand both worlds, I guess, and I can favor them both. But in this stage, I'm really happy. Well, I've never had the chance to really do what I have in my mind. I mean, with all that stuff that I suddenly have at home, all the tracks I can play. I mean, at some point, sometimes I have really 7 guitars, and then maybe I'll throw 5 away. But I mean, you come up with to totally, because now I am thinking more as a composer, as a producer. Maybe that's the better word. Yeah. So I'm higher, much higher than the guitar player composer into that.
Well, in your story, I hear, or in your answer, I hear that you're very open-minded about music in general, initially,
I try to.
and the background you had, and just being in the studio, one-takers, or the chemistry between everybody, but also the world where you are in right now, being a producer.
Very different world.
What do you think about the future? Do you think things are going to change even more? Do you think you can still keep an open mind about that?
Yeah, well, the future, I mean, that technical development, we are not the youngest persons in the world. I mean, the first time I went to the studio was, hoe heet het? I don't know. And I remember at some point the bass player played one wrong note. Well, they tried to pop it in or something. It didn't work. So and then he started cutting the tape. Okay. So you remember that, unbelievable. Yes, so this the 2-inch tape. Yeah, and then they put it in a thing, and I was sitting there. So I had a great guitar solo in there. So and then he put a whoop and a zip, and he put it together, and he did, and then Jan Rietman, that was that. Yeah, so that's the first thing you do now. And what I told you, I mean, that little laptop with all the recordings. So I mean, it'll end up with a watch, I guess, with 64 tracks or something, and a built-in condenser mic, whatever. I mean,
well, so it's heading. Of course, the technology is heading.
So the technology thing is going, and well, the benefit of that, the good thing is that the barriers are lowered. So I mean, everybody who likes to do something buys a bank with sounds and with drum loops and tries stuff, and I'm not really, I don't know much about well, there is a lot of music I hear nowadays which I really like, and I don't really know how much of that music is made by people who don't know anything, or almost don't know anything. I'm not really sure that those facts, I mean, so let's say that I can imagine that the answer is that at least 20% or 30% of nice music that is made is coming from those people, and then I say, why not? I mean, I studied that conservatory also only starting doing that when I was 28, and before that I didn't know anything, really didn't know anything about music theory at all. So
but I mean, I'm also one of those old school musicians that didn't go to music school.
No.
But I feel that if you have that feeling for the music, it kind of takes you where you want to go. And you're one of those musicians as well that I've seen over the years. Well, he got that extra thing that somebody who maybe studied for 30 years could never have.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes you a legend, man.
It's not. It's not in studying. It's all about feel. It's all about. I mean, are you able? Can you connect what you feel, what you experience in life? Can you connect that with your music? Can you translate that? And that's what people feel. That's what I love about people who make music. So
I got one more question before we close off this very, very nice interview we've had with you. We always ask our guests to tell us a little anecdote about something that they happened in their career, and which was funny or maybe awkward. What is that for you?
Yeah. I mean, I experienced a lot, of course, and I can tell 1,000 stories. The problem is that almost all of them are about people, what they do or don't or should have done and never did, and I'm not going into that because I don't think that is netjes. I should not do that. So, but there is one little thing I can tell. That's because something that happened with me, and that I liked it. So imagine that point when I first started with. So I was asked by Herman and by Harry Musquet to join the band, and I choose Harry, and I followed then that legendary Elko Gelling, which was, I mean, in every poll it was Jan Akkerman or Elko or the other way around. And I was, whatever, 23 and tried to play nice, and okay, so we had that big, and Harry had a big problem with it, because Harry and Elko it was like a marriage. I mean, a musician's marriage, so to speak. They were so close. I mean, that record I made with Harry, it was called Love, and that says enough. I mean, I think half of his lyrics were about all about that, so that but I can imagine that, because he felt betrayed. He felt betrayed because he didn't. I thought he didn't even get a phone call from Elko, but from the management. So Elko is to the Groningen. All right. So I followed his footsteps, and then we rehearsed. And then we had the first gig in Assen, of course, where Harry lived, in the Korp, big Schouwburg, big place.
Yeah.
It was completely full, it was crowded, but all the old fans were there. And they wanted to see, maybe they wanted to see how the new guitar player played. So it was quite a big burden. But I mean, I don't know, I think I was young enough to just go for it, and so, all right, so we played, and then in the pause or afterwards, I heard people say, yeah, but it was Eelco, because Eelco, and I heard it later, at some points when Eelco didn't, I don't know, whatever, he didn't shave enough, or he didn't like to do it. Sometimes Eelco played behind his Marshall stack, so you couldn't see him. So at some point, so people then said, well, I think Eelco played, and Eelco sat there, so that little guy is only standing there. So, I mean, I was, can you imagine that? I was like playing. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Mouth always turning around. Yeah, exactly. So that was really something, and then Harry was very proud. No, it was really him, and I was very proud. So maybe that's one of the things I can share without going into all the weaknesses we have as musicians.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Nice. This was quite a lovely interview, we want to say.
Thank you.
I want to thank our guest for this afternoon, Bernhard Reinke. I said it right. And my co-host, of course, Mr. Peter D. And you can reach him at
info@peterdappen.nl. That's Peter DOPPEN.nl.
And Bernhard, where can people reach you?
BernhardReinke.com.
Okay.
So easy.
You can
It's with an H, Bernhard. With
with an
between.
H.
Yeah.
Okay. You can also reach us on rhythm-factory.nl. We have also a new email address where you can reach us, and that is the Rhythm Factory Podcast @gmail.com. And you can also reach me at jazzolmusic@gmail.com. That's JAZSOL. All right. Thank you. And this was it for this time in this particular episode of the Rhythm Factory. See you around. Ciao.